It's time for some news from Roll for Crit. We hope you enjoy Werewolves because Bezier is at it again with a new line in their Werewolf series of games. This is a whole new game, non-expansion. It's called Silver, and the way it works is you are trying to each run your own little towns and make sure you draw the least amount of werewolves to your own town.
Unlike the One Night Ultimate Werewolf series that Bezier is well known for, this one is not a social deduction game, although there is a lot of hidden information that you're trying to discover and maybe bluff about potentially as the game goes on. Every player's village is going to have 5 face-down cards in it, and unless you have some kind of special ability, you're not going to be able to just look at those anytime that you want. You're going to have to be using cards with powers that will maybe flip some face up or allow you to sneak a peek. Each card has a number on it, which represents a point value, and at the end of the game, you are going to want the least amount of points in your village. However, the cards with higher point values will probably have stronger effects, or effects that you can use to your advantage, so sometimes you may want them in your village. The way that you're going to get rid of cards is, on your turn, you can push a card forward and discard it, but if you have a set of the same type of cards, you can push those forward and reveal them and get rid of them all at the same time in exchange for a new card that comes out of the deck. So it is very advantageous for you to know what you have, because if you know you have sets of the same, that's a good thing. You may even want another high value card if you already know you have one of those in your village, because it'll be easier for you to knock 2 of those out at the same time. When you think you have the lowest value of cards in your village, you can declare a vote, and then everyone reveals and you see, and if you were correct and you have the lowest amount, you get a higher score. There's also going to be this thing, there's this silver amulet, and there's also a different version of the game called Silver Bullet, which we'll get to, where it's a bullet. And if you get, there's certain abilities, you will get those icons that you can put onto your card to protect them.
Silver Bullet is pretty much the same thing. It's a standalone, but also expansion. You know, just make the sets of cards you'd want to make. It's a very interesting, more you start off with blind information, trying to learn as much as you can before and swap out those numbers before it's too late. And unlike the other One Nights, it's not really a one team versus the other. This is pretty much a free-for-all, where everyone has their own set of cards they're trying to worry about.
Yeah, it's definitely a very different direction for it. I mean, it doesn't even say werewolf anywhere on the box, which I'm kind of surprised by, because I feel like that's an easy marketing tool. People are very familiar with that. They could have just called this Werewolf Silver or something, but I guess they really wanted to be clear that this is not the same type of game as those other ones. And I think that's for the best, because I mean, I think Bezier alone has kind of been putting out a lot of those types of games, and it's probably a good idea to put something out in a little bit of a different flavor for people, and so they don't get oversaturated with that. Even
if you have different games in the same universe, like names like Silver or something, you can still be like, oh, I recognize this. And I think that will attract a lot of people, especially if they're like, I've had enough werewolf. I'm like, oh, I recognize this, but it's not called werewolf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course it's the same designer as One Night. I thought that it seems like a pretty fun game. What it reminded me of, it sounds like a little bit of Masquerade, that bluffing card game where you also don't know what you have and you're flipping cards around and switching them with people.
Yeah, I definitely no, Masquerade definitely reminds me of that a lot. And in particular, I think this one was in Bullet. We haven't seen every card, but one of the Bullet card's abilities is take someone's face down cards and shuffle them, which I think is like the greatest thing in this game, because that's when you know someone's like, if they knew they had like a 10 in there, but you shuffle it, they're like, oh no, which one's the 10 now?
Yeah, you can really mess with people, really make them upset. A little bit kind of like Love Letter-esque too, but in the sense that, you know, you're worrying about point values and which cards you have and everything like that.
We should also mention that this is actually coming out very soon. We will actually be seeing Silver, I guess you call it core? I'm not sure. This Gen Con, with, I believe, Bullet coming out in October.
If you're not going to be at Gen Con, then the retail edition will be available to the public in September. Right now, if you go to Bezier Games' website, you can get a copy of Silver for about $25, or you can get it with Silver Bullet, the two of them together for $40, so you get a little bit of a discount on both. That's a pre-order, so you'll have to wait for the shipping to happen along with the till October if you're getting Silver Bullet as well. But yeah, it seems like a fun, light card game if you like this style of bluffing and guessing and peeking types of games. I think it is one to look out for, and hopefully when we are at Gen Con this August, we'll get the chance to try it for ourselves and let you know what we actually think about it.
Let us know what you think of the game. If you think this is a different enough departure from Werewolf to make it interesting, to maybe alongside Werewolf, or you're just like, I have one night, that's more than enough. You can let us know, of course, in the comments down below, or all the other places we are. But until then, I'm Will.
I'm Jonathan.
And this has been Roll for Crit. Get an inspiration token by supporting us on Patreon and liking and subscribing to this channel.
If you support us on Patreon, you'll get access to our audio expansion podcast. It's so good.